Hey, what's up, guys? Habitual Truther here, back with another video. Basically, what this video is going to be about is two back-to-back end-time dreams that I had back in 2011. And I actually had these two dreams 2 nights in a row, which I believe was confirmation from the Father, Yahuwah, that sits upon the throne, that created all of us in his image. I believe he gave me confirmation that these two dreams were from him, and they were both similar to one another. So starting with the very first dream that I had in the summer of 2011, I ended up dreaming that I went to North Carolina to visit my buddy Mike Davis, who was living in North Carolina at the time. He had just recently moved there for real, and he told me after he moved there, this is in real life, that he had ended up getting a job as a security officer at a hotel in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is like right on the ocean. And so anyways, in my end time dream, I remember I went to North Carolina to visit my buddy Mike, and I came inside of the hotel, and he was sitting at the desk in the lobby, which was like his security desk or whatnot. And so we start, talking and whatnot, and next thing you know, I look out the windows of the main lobby of the hotel, which was like an ocean view window in the lobby, looking out onto the ocean. And we seen some boats and a ship out there, and all of a sudden I noticed that there was these giant boulder-like rocks falling from the sky that were falling into the ocean that had fire tails on them. They reminded me of like really large meteors or meteorites, whatever you want to call them. And next thing I know, I see some start smashing through some of the boats out in the ocean, and we're both looking at each other like, what in the world is going on here? So we both got nervous, and next thing you know, there was a big boulder that crashed through the roof of the hotel that we were in, and it literally like crashed right through the roof and ended up plowing right through the counter of the lobby in the hotel. So right after that happened, we both ran over to one of the walls in the lobby, which it was like a fancy hotel. So if you can imagine like an archway, like a relief cut out in the wall, which only went back about a foot deep, but it had like a brick arch. It was like a relief cut into the wall. We both got inside of this relief that was cut into the wall, and we literally like nudged ourselves up against the wall of the relief to protect ourselves from these giant rocks with fire tails that were crashing through the hotel and hitting the ocean and crashing through boats and ships out on the ocean. So we're sitting there freaked out, and there was a couple more boulder-like rocks that crashed through the hotel, and I remember waking up, and I was like, my heart was racing when I woke up from having this dream, and I was like, what on earth was that? I mean, but like I said, it felt similar to my 2004 end time dream, the one I shared with in my 2004 end time dream video, where I was on the airplane and I was flying over the Rocky Mountains and started seeing them erupting. I had gotten that same feeling like I did in that dream, in this new dream. And, I was, of course, woke up in a puddle of sweat. I was shaking, and that dream was so vivid and so real that, like, I never forgot it, just like with that first end time dream that I had back in 2004. Well, after having that dream, I didn't really think much of it, so the next night, the following night, I went to sleep, and I ended up having a second dream that was similar to this one. except this time the setting was during nighttime. And instead of being in North Carolina visiting my buddy Mike, who worked as a security guard at the hotel, the second in time dream that I had the very following night ended up taking place in a scrapyard of all places. So and it was nighttime. So I'm like, I remember as soon as the dream started, I'm looking around and I'm like all confused, like, why am I in a scrapyard? There's piles of scrap metal and crushed cars and all this stuff. And I'm just standing on like a pile of scrap metal inside of the scrapyard. And next thing you know, I look up in the sky because I seen something light up the sky, and I look up and here comes what looks like a meteor coming down at an angle like you always see them coming down at. And rather than being lit up like a bluish color like a lot of meteors are lit up like, this thing was lit up fiery red, like a reddish orange fire. And I could clearly tell as some of the rocks that were falling closer to me, I could tell that they were boulders. And what was crazy was in the second dream that I was having, this time taking place at nighttime in a scrapyard, I can literally recall within that dream that I was having in the scrapyard, I could recall the other dream that I had the night before where I was in North Carolina. And that was what I found even weirder, because it's like I'm dreaming this dream and yet I'm able to recognize and remember the other situation that I was in with the fire, with the rocks falling out of the sky with the fire tails on them. That took place during the daytime, but now I'm having the same thing occur, except now it's nighttime and I'm in this scrapyard. And these, like I said, they're like giant boulders with orangish red fire tails on them as they're coming down all around me as I stood in this scrapyard. The only thing was this second in time dream was much shorter than the first original one where I was in North Carolina. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night, and again, my heart was racing. I was covered in sweat, and right away, I automatically remembered the dream that I had the night before, taking place in North Carolina during the daytime when I was visiting my buddy Mike in North Carolina. And right away, like without even second guessing, I knew that this second dream that God gave me was confirmation, confirming the first dream. Right off the bat, I just knew it deep down in my soul that this was a confirmation of the first dream that I had. And so during trying to figure out what on earth could this have been that God was showing me, I was reading through the book of Revelation, and the first thing that came to mind was, it was, I believe, the last final bowl judgment, where it talks about how there were thunder and lightning, and there was a great hailstones that weighed like 100 pounds each that fell down to the earth after God poured his seventh bowl out onto the earth, his final judgment. And so I was thinking, was what I was actually seeing? Only when I think of hailstones, I just think of stones. Like, why these boulders had fire tails on them was beyond me. But it wasn't until just recently, like a couple months ago, after I started looking into this Yellowstone megaquake event that the geologists are predicting that will happen, and after studying up on what could end up happening if the Yellowstone caldera were to explode, the scientists, geologists say that the fallout debris from Yellowstone exploding could indeed reach as far as the east coast of the United States. And I'm thinking, wow, my first dream took place in North Carolina, in Wilmington, North Carolina, in a hotel that sat right on the beach, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. So I was thinking, could that actually have been the event that God gave me the dream that I was having? And then again, having the same dream, only in the second dream, it took place at nighttime and I was in some random scrapyard. I didn't even know where I was at in the second dream, but I knew for a fact I was in North Carolina in the first dream because of my buddy moving to North Carolina and getting a job as a security officer. So, after learning that the debris from Yellowstone exploding could reach as far as the east coast of the United States, I started thinking, well, gee, if a super volcano known as Yellowstone, the largest caldera in the world, were to explode, you're talking molten chunks of rock and lava would be like ejected out of the earth from Yellowstone exploding. So it would make sense that there would be huge chunks of rocks or boulders that would be on fire, that would be falling from the sky and raining down from the sky. So, like I said, it was about 2 months ago when I started studying Yellowstone and what the geologists said possibly could happen if Yellowstone were to ever explode. And sure enough, like something inside me told me that, and I believe it was God telling me that that was the two back-to-back dreams that he gave me in 2011. That was exactly what I was witnessing in those dreams, was the result of Yellowstone caldera exploding, which marked the beginning of this cataclysmic event that's going to hit the United States once the United States is judged. And starting with Yellowstone exploding, which again, the NASA scientists were even talking about what would happen if they were to detonate a nuclear bomb inside of the Yellowstone caldera, which I think is a stupid idea. But I'm thinking, wow, that would set off a chain of events. It would set off, I believe that the explosion would be powerful enough that the transfer of energy along the North American plate running east and west due to the explosion of Yellowstone would be great enough that it would set off the Cascadia subduction zone over in the west coast of the United States. And I believe that as the transfer of energy goes eastward across the North American plate, that it would actually set off the New Madrid fault line that cuts our country in half through the Midwest. But yet the energy would continue to run eastward even beyond the New Madrid fault line, to the point where I could see once that transfer of energy reaches the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which is out in the Atlantic Ocean, I'd say probably at least 600-800 miles off the coast of Africa, which is right where the Mid-Atlantic Ridge is, and that's where the North American plate butts up against the African plate. So if that energy was great enough that transferred across the North American plate, I could definitely see it setting off an earthquake right at the plate boundaries at the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which would then create a huge tsunami that would reach as high as 300 feet high, that would then go eastward and end up hitting the eastern seaboard of the United States. And there's a lot of people's end time dreams that depict seeing a huge wall of water, a tsunami coming inland, where there's a couple people were saying that they were in a skyscraper in New York City and they looked out the window of the skyscraper and seen literally this wall of water coming at them that was as high as the building they were in. And not only that, but the once the mega thrust quake hits the Cascadia subduction zone out in the Pacific Ocean, just a couple hundred miles off the western seaboard. That mega thrust 9.0 plus size earthquake that would hit the Cascadia subduction zone, the geologists say, would result in a tsunami that would range between 300 feet high and reach as high as 1,800 feet high, which would be incredibly insane. And basically, the geologists are saying everything west of I-5 is toast if the Cascadia subduction zone ever were to go. So as a result of Yellowstone exploding, whether they detonate a bomb in it or, it happens naturally, it would create a double tsunami that would hit both coasts of the United States, as well as set off the New Madrid fault line on top of it all. And like I said, in my first end time dream of the Rocky Mountains erupting, as I looked out the airplane window, I'm flying over the Rockies, and the Rocky Mountains are literally exploding and lava shooting up in the air, which was causing the turbulence of the plane that I was on. So I'm thinking, and it just so happens, if you look at a map of Yellowstone, the Yellowstone caldera is like smack right in the middle of the Rocky Mountain range that runs 1,900 miles from northern Vancouver, Canada, all the way down to northern New Mexico in like a northwesterly direction. So Yellowstone being like smack right in the middle in Wyoming and part of Montana and part of Idaho is where Yellowstone National Park is. So with the Yellowstone caldera being literally smack dab right in the middle of the 1,900 mile long Rocky Mountain range, I'm thinking that there's a magma chamber that must run underneath the length of the Rocky Mountains. So when they do detonate Yellowstone, because I believe they're going to purposely detonate it, due to the explosion of the Yellowstone caldera, I believe it's going to cause the magma that's underneath the Rocky Mountain range to exit at the least point of resistance, which would be up through the mountaintops, because you got to think the magma chamber's got to be a couple few, if not 5 miles underneath the Earth's crust. So rather than have to go through 5 miles of molten rock trying to get through 5 or 6 miles of Earth's crust, it would just be easier for the magma to come up where the Rocky Mountain range is and just explode out the top of the volcanoes. Because if you think about it, it would be easier for the magma to escape through the Rocky Mountains than it would through all of that layer of rock and whatnot. And like I said, with the Rocky Mountains smack dab right in the middle, Yellowstone caldera is like right in the middle of the Rocky Mountain range, which is 1,900 miles in length. So you're talking like, what, right in the 950 mile range is where Yellowstone is. So you're talking like 950 miles north and 950 miles south, which would be, like 1,900 miles. So anyways, guys, I felt that I was pressed to get these 2 end time dreams that I had that were back-to-back end time dreams that I had 2 nights in a row back in 2011. I feel it was confirmation, and God had me just hold on to these 2 dreams, just like he did with the 2004 end time dream that I had, until the time was right. And I feel that the time is right now, because I finally understand what these dreams are and what event happens that causes these end time dreams to hit the United States of America, which is the beginning of America's actual judgment before she is destroyed, which I believe is going to be purposely detonated, Yellowstone, which is going to result in the double tsunami and the new Madrid fault line going off, which is going to overflood the Mississippi, wash out all those states, especially Louisiana. It's Louisiana that gets completely washed out, and part of Mississippi gets washed out, as well as half of Florida going under. And like I said, all those western states that go into the ocean, I believe, is a result of these chain of earth megaquake events that occur as a result of the initial detonation of the Yellowstone caldera. And now that I understand what the dreams were that God gave me, I believe that that's the reason why he has it pressed on my heart to get these two end time dreams out as well. So if you guys haven't watched my first end time dream video, like I said, it's about the Rocky Mountains erupting. Go check out that video, and please share this video with as many people as you can. And I give everyone absolute 100% permission to mirror my video and get this out, especially if you have a big channel and you got a couple few 100,000 subscribers. Please do me a favor and mirror this video and get it out. I just want it to reach as many people possible. I'm not here to make money. I'm not collecting no donations. I'm doing this because I'm doing my job as a follower of Christ. I'm being the watchman on the wall, and I want to reach as many people as possible. And this is only possible because of Yahuwah, who sits upon the throne, our Creator, our Father, who created us. All glory goes to the Father, Yahuwah. I take no credit for this whatsoever. It's all because of him why I'm able to make these videos, and why I'm able to reach people through the dreams that he has given me, and allowing him to speak through me. And I'm just his mouthpiece. I let him speak through me because he knows better of what to say than I do. So like I said, I praise you and worship you, Father, and all glory goes to you, Father. All praise and worship go to you, Father, for I am nothing without you. And please, I pray, and I apologize, my other phone's ringing. I just pray for each and every one of you, and I pray that if you haven't gotten right with the Father, I pray you get right with him soon, because time is running short, and it's only a matter of time until, that's it. You don't know when your last breath will be. So I suggest everyone gets right with the Father, and that everyone repents of their sins and accepts Jesus Christ into their hearts before it's too late. Again, I love all you guys. Much love to all of you. Please share this video and mirror this video. Get it out to as many people as possible, because I'm trying to reach as many people as I possibly can, because I love everyone, and I need for people to get right. I want to see you guys in the kingdom. So I love each and every one of you. You guys all have a blessed day, and habitual truther out.